Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to Baby Got Scraps, a scrappy, inspirational YouTube and Instagram hop where we only use one 12 by 12 and scraps or a smaller paper pad. I'm still working on my grandson's album, and I am digging out scraps from other things that I put aside, thinking, I'd get this done and start on something else. Well, I'm not done yet. Mostly because I don't know why. You'd think I would be. But originally, I did plan to use a post-bound album, but I've decided to use a 3-ring binder album so it can hold a little bit more. I was going to condense more into the layouts, but instead I'm doing a few one-pager things, mostly from talking to him on the telephone. And this one here, it's got the Declaration of the Independence in the background, so I thought I'd use Washington's memorial picture with it. And I first thought, well, I'll do a diagonal piece of paper on the right-hand side, go from left-hand bottom to the top right-hand. I don't have no scrap like that. And I'm only allowed to use 112 by 12 paper. So I thought I got to put everything on the right-hand side pretty much so that I have as much as I can of the background paper to show. Yeah, so my solution was I thought, well, I'll put a narrow band on the right-hand side of paper. And then I thought, well, if I put some tags, they can be, well, first I thought banners. That was my automatic thought. And then I decided to go ahead and do the tags again because, I'm loving it. Thanks, Dorothy. Anyway, I am inking everything. I didn't ink the background paper, though, since it does kind of look vintage to start with. But I am inking the other stuff because they don't look quite so vintage. I am using that striped paper, which I totally love. I didn't like the other side. It's got a fleur-de-lis on it over and over again, a nice steady pattern. But I love the stripe. But then I love stripes. Diagonal, whatever. I love stripes. I don't think I've ever seen one that I didn't like. And the paper that I'm using that is kind of cream colored, it looks cream colored on the layout. But compared to the cream-colored vanilla cardstock I've been using for a long time, this is more khaki. It's got a little bit more brown to it. And it kind of stands out with all those other scraps of vanilla. So I thought I would use it. And I thought I'd use vellum because I thought, well, I could go over the top of the background paper, but you could still see it. And when I went to get the white vellum, because that was my first thought, clear vellum is supposed to be, I've seen this piece of, well, it's glassine. It is not vellum, but you can still see it through it. It's still translucent, and you can still see the writing on the background paper. And I like the color, and it goes with the colors and a couple of the stripes, so I decided to use it instead, and it's got like bokeh on it. I had bought a paper pad. It's a paper pad of glassine, maybe 20 pages in there, because I was making envelopes and stuff out of them just to have something different to make out of them, or little paper bags myself, instead of having plain ones. And of course I had scraps because they were small, but I stuck it in with the vellum thinking, okay, it's a scrap. I might be able to use it on a layout. But if it stayed in the pad itself, I may never have used it because I haven't made any glassine bags in a while or envelopes. I really need to. They look good on the pages. I just hadn't done it in a while. The alphabet that I'm using is Tim Holtz, and this one's called Script lowercase. And when I put them all together, I usually, the one that's on the left, the first one I would put down, trim off a little bit of the tail of the letter and then lay the other one on top and do that all the way across, and then it looks like it's all connected without all that extra stuff on there. And I did amazing because there's a little puffy sticker and it says today was ... So today was amazing because they had gone in the afternoon after they got out of the think tank to do some sightseeing. And let's see what else. Oh, the paper in the background, it's from Paper House. In case y'all ever need it, it is from Paper House. The other side is a map instead. Well, I already used the map. I used the map the other day. And so I knew I wanted to use both of them as full sheets. I certainly did not want to cut neither one of them up. So yeah, they both ended up as a background sheet. It's called Let Freedom Ring. I took that circular sticker and I got my part of my title on there, but I also put a couple of stars, and well, I'm going to have 3 altogether. One is going to be down there on the glassine paper, but then I'm going to pull them up because I remembered on one of the sticker sheets that it had like a parchment thing with a feather for a quilled pen to sign like they would have for the Declaration of Independence. So I decided I'd put it on this page too. It's not super fancy, but I put it on there anyway. But it is 3D. It's looking at that circular element there, trying to think it needs more. So it will be a few minutes before I think of the, well, I don't think it, I think it's supposed to portray the Declaration of Independence, but it just has like signatures on it. It don't look like the background of this paper. But I decided to go ahead and add some notebook punch paper behind the photo just to add a layer and give it some texture there. And I'm going to use my label punch, and that strip that's the green, it is really not wide enough. So I'm going to have to cover up one edge of that because I did want to use it. But I've got a camouflage that the whole thing did not punch out. I also wanted to repeat some of the colors that are on the bottom, well, the whole right-hand side. And so, yeah, I'm going to punch out stuff that from over there and fussy cut, of course, just to get the repeats on there. And I'm going to do the little tiny label and just kind of run along the bottom there. And then I'm also going to use my Rolodex punch on there. And yeah, it's the whole bottom part that did not punch out is not even going to be noticeable by the time I get it done. And my cluster is going to have a whole lot more than I originally planned to have too. But I pulled out my Rolodex punch because I was wanting different things for layers on his album. And I hadn't used it in a long time. And when I was looking at, see it, well, you know, I have my punches where I can see them. Only this punch, it kind of sticks in. So I'm just seeing the side. I'm not seeing the Rolodex. And so I was passing it up. Well, I rearranged everything and set some in another spot so that I'd have a, you know, a little bit spaced out a little bit more. And I decided I'm going to leave it out so I will use it. Because the way it was, I was just passing it up every time. You know, the out of sight, out of mind thing. Yeah. I took 2 little cubes. Well, I got them a long time ago at Dollar Tree. And I kind of made a shelf out of them underneath the shelf that was holding my punches, just so I could spread the punches out just a little bit better because they were really crowded in there. And they're a little better, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to empty my other 2 little cubes and make another shelf just so I'll have plenty of room to see everything a lot better. Because if I can see it when I glance through, I'm more apt to use it. Yep, the old out of sight, out of mind thing. But yeah, this cluster's going to end up a lot more to it than I originally planned because I just kept adding. You can barely see the label by the time I get done that I didn't quite have enough to punch with. So I pulled out the little sticker that's a parchment and quill. And I think what I don't like about it, what I think about, it's not that great, is the rolled paper is kind of on the flat side. Well, really on the flat side. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to get like a coffee stirrer and cut it off and then roll both ends up in there. And I think I will be a lot happier with it because then they'll be rolled like a parchment thing. The ones I have are black. I might even let a little bit stick out. You know, well, maybe I can take some wood grain paper or roll it up on each end and make it look like wood grain paper things sticking out there. I think that might work. I'll let y'all know if it does or not. I could glue the wood grain paper around the coffee stirrer, then tuck it in there, and everything will be around. Maybe. Like I said, I'll let you know if it works out or not. It might look like this forever. I was trimming that tab and it says today, and it had like two and then perforated in the middle. Well, I cut off the one that I used on a different layout. And so this one was kind of rough looking, and I trimmed it and it still looks a little rough. I might have been able to trim it a little more. I don't know, but I think it's okay. And I also used one of the paper clips. So that makes two out of those paper clips that I used that I pulled out in the hopes I'd use because I've had them so long. And guess what? I am going to use a couple of the brads that I pulled out. I don't know how many times. Yeah, two of them. It always makes me so happy to use something really old on my layouts. Well, a lot of my stuff's really old, but there are things that are older than others. I'm going to use it's kind of like a button brad. It's covered in probably uh, maybe cotton or something, or the stuffing stuff that you put in pillows, whatever that's called. Batting. Yes, batting. And cloth. Anyway, it's kind of on the bright white side, so I did ink it and put it in the center of my camera. And no, there's no cluster around there, but I figured it's got 3 layers under it. Well, four. 1, 2, 3, 4 layers under it. Well, yeah, 4. So I think it's all right. I think I would remember the word batting better than that because I have used it. I had a big old bag and for years, and I'd take whatever I needed out of it. My niece was over here, and she had like an inch square. I swear it wasn't even bigger than an inch, maybe an inch and a half. And she was stuffing this thing and sewing, and I thought, how far does she think that's going to go? Does she have some more hidden over there beside her? And anyway, she asked me, she said, do you have any batting? I don't have enough to do this. And I said, yeah, it's in there in the closet. And I said, if you go get it, I'll let you have the rest of the bag. Anyway, she was so tickled because, little goes a long way on that, except when you only have an inch or inch and a half. Oh, the rabbit trails. Sorry. But I better mention real quick down there below will be the links to all the other gals doing Baby Got Scraps. So you can get some more inspiration on using your scraps. And if you leave a comment below, I'll get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. And those of you who already are, thank you so much. But yeah, see how big that cluster is. Whew. I really wasn't planning on making one that big there because I told you I wanted to keep that side kind of open. But yeah, let's see. I don't remember where I was at. I got sidetracked. But see how flat that looks? It needs something. But I hope y'all have a happy, scrappy week. Take care and stay safe. Bye.